Good afternoon. My name is Dr.Asli Hassan. I'm the director of the Center of Teaching and Learning at Khalifa University. Welcome to today's webinar. The title is Making the Case for Educating the Whole Child. So these are the children of the future, our children in the present, and I'm going to be making the case and sharing some data and some information why we should focus on the whole child. So let's first begin. Our current children and the future children are growing up currently in the 21st century, and we need to look at what does the 21st century require of our students to be successful, okay? So this is kind of an example of what the 21st century looks like at the moment. What they are required is really, beside mathematics and reading and math and science and the curriculum, content curriculum foundation, a strong foundation, they need to think critically and creatively. They need to be able to solve complex problems, and they need to communicate well. And also they need to be able to evaluate the massive information that is available in their lives, okay? And these are things that actually most of the time schools are not teaching, but now that's the direction we want to go, and we want the schools to provide this. In education, we currently everything is constrained by time, limited time, coursework. They're delivered in some pedagogical way, some instructional methods way, and they're assessed at the end. And to us, this is the old way, but it's the traditional way. We evaluate students' learning and their success based on how they perform in those assessments. But that current definition, it's really limited and it's very narrow. So what should we do? What works best for our children, and what must we all do? And all, I mean all of us, educators, parents, policymakers, and community members. What do we have to do to ensure that our students are successful adults? Okay. And what is a successful learner looks like, and how do we measure it beside assessment and exams, okay? So these are the things that we want to think about throughout this webinar. I would like you now take a few moments, seconds actually, and try to fill this gap, this word that I'm looking for. Students should be, what do you think they should be? So they can be better prepared, to receive better education, and they're better prepared for the future, beside their academic achievement. So try to type your answers. What do you think we need the students to have beside good academic, solid academic knowledge? And if you can think of these words, just write it up, and we will see it, we'll find it. We'll look at it. In the meantime, as you're typing your answers, I'm going to go back to those same questions. What should we do? Most of the report that I'm giving today, it's actually published by an organization that I'll give more information about, and it's an initiative called the Whole Child Initiative. So the questions that we had to keep in mind or think about was what works best for children, what must we all do, and what is a successful learner? How does it look like, and how do we measure it? So we're gonna figure it out. So do we have some words? What do we have? We got some words. Some people have put some words, so let me look it up. Okay. Creative. Okay, good. Very good. Open to new things. I like that. Okay, wonderful. I think we're going in the right direction. Fantastic. Okay, so a child who enters school should be healthy, okay? And they should feel safe and ready to learn, okay? Feel safe and is ready to learn. I think the person who wrote open to new things, a student who feels connected, the student should feel connected. A student who feels connected, they're more likely to stay in school. So they should feel connected, okay? Another thing is they should feel and have access to challenging and engaging academic programs. So they should be healthy, feel safe, feel connected, be challenged, and be engaging. Okay, and I like that creativity because we will get to it, and being open to new things. Okay, well, the research now, what it's telling us is, I think we knew healthy and safe alone, or maybe being connected to the school by itself, or having challenging and engaging academic knowledge. However, what the whole child approach is saying is all of these things have to be in unison. They have to work together, and you cannot do one by itself, or you cannot do it separately. They should work together and in unison and not in isolation. So that's the key. That's really the core key. All of these things have to happen in the child's life in order for the child to be successful in the 21st century. Okay, so it is a new approach to education, policy, and practice, and to learning and teaching and community engagement. Actually, the community is part of this process, and actually it is valued as well. It's not just the responsibility of teachers like myself, but it's actually responsibility of the learner, the family, the community, and the schools. So this approach was developed by ASCD and the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and it was launched in 2014. The approach aims to better align policies, processes, and practices of education, public health, and school health. And it works on the bigger picture and personal development beyond academic achievement. Okay? And based on every child should be healthy, happy, safe, engaged, supported, and challenged. Okay? So these are the 5 areas. And we're going to go in each one of them and look at what the data tells us. We're going to look at who has put in practice this research, and what are the results, how successful are they, and what has happened, so we could learn from it. Okay, so the whole child is these 5 tenets. The first one, each student enters school healthy and learns about and practices a healthy lifestyle. So they know what a healthy lifestyle looks like. A student learns, they're aware of it, and we will go into great details in that category. The next one, student learns in an environment that is physically and emotionally safe for students and adults. So the environment where the student is learning, the school environment, the after school environment, home, is safe and physically and emotionally safe. Each student is actively engaged in learning and is connected to the school, but also is connected to the broader community. And they know the value of being part of a community. Students have access to personalized learning and is supported by qualified, caring adults. Okay? So personalized is more like individualized learning. So all children are not the same. So each child is their learning is individualized. And students are challenged, and academically and prepared for success in college or for employment after college, and for participating in a global environment. So their life is challenging and enriching, and it's supported, is engaging, is safe, and is healthy. Okay? All of that will make that student or that individual very successful in the 21st century. So let's go now in each of these categories. And what does it mean to be healthy? Okay? Healthy students, the research shows that they miss fewer classes. They concentrate better and more. They're less likely to engage in antisocial behavior or wrong behaviors. And they do well academically, okay? So all of the whole child approach, these tenets that we talked about, they actually contribute to the academic success of mathematics and reading and writing and other core subjects, okay? They contribute to it. However, if you're good in math and science and physics and languages and core subjects, will not contribute to your healthy lifestyle or your emotional well-being, okay? So this direction is actually contributes to the higher test scores. And if, unfortunately, too many students go to class in less than optimal health, that's the reality. This report actually is based on the US data. So what does the data tells us? Okay. This data is based in the US, but we can learn from it. We could see it. If something is happening in the US, it probably is happening in many other countries around the world. Only 17% of high school students currently meet the recommended daily amount of physical activities, okay? Childhood obesity is on the rise. Excuse me. It has tripled in the US. 1/3 of US children are overweight. Sorry. 17% of children and adolescents are obese. I apologize. I'm sorry. So that's really a scary thing, okay? And if we go, this was obesity and limited physical activities. The mental health, 1 out of 5 children and adolescents experience symptoms of mental health illnesses. And in the US, 80% may go untreated. And this is a research that was done by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention in 2008. Mental disorder impacts greater risks for dropping out of school and suffering long-term impairments, okay? And this is the economic side. The low-income families, 9.7 million of the 20 million low-income families, students who are eligible for school breakfast receive it. And then there's overweight, suffering from asthma.
You want a small plate?
Yes. All of these behaviors, overweight, suffering from asthma, poor health status, poor diet, lack of sleep, they do contribute to absences from school. Well, now let's see some examples, some good examples, case in point, okay, that they've shared. This one is an elementary school in South Carolina, and they have, they put an effort in promoting wellness and healthy choices in students and staff. They have changed the cafeteria menu to include more appetizing and healthy food choices. The school food company also helped the school with the efforts by offering more vegetarian trays, healthy snacks, more appetizing preparation for the diverse student populations. And the faculty developed curriculum in gardening, nutritional awareness. So what they noticed is the students' behaviors changed, and students learned how to take care of their own healthy lifestyle. And the school was really successful in that. There is another school, a community school also, that did similar things in Indiana, in Batesville, Indiana. And they promoted strong emphasis on health, and they collaborated with the local community, local food growers, and they improved also their cafeteria food by exposing students to more fruits and vegetables. And these schools, they really did not spend a lot of money, but they really emphasized how to create healthy lifestyle among their students and teach them how to eat better food and be conscious about. So these are two examples. The goal, yeah, obviously, healthier students and a safe, connected community. So they connected with the community. Okay, the next one, we looked at healthy. Students, they must be safe. Not should, but they must be safe. And safe, students who feel safe in their learning environment, they tend to have higher academic achievements. This increases their well-being, and they're more engaged. But if they don't have that, if they don't feel safe, the negative side of it is lack of feeling of safety. They cannot concentrate on their studies. Sometimes they don't even go to school at all, okay? And they don't feel connected with their classmates. What does the data tell us? Obviously, students that are not engaged, okay, their scores are really low. So those 11 points, percentile points, higher scores on academic achievement to the students they receive, the students that are engaged, okay? So students engaged in school-based social and emotional learning, they receive 11 percentile points higher on academic tests than their peers who did not engage in learning environments, in the environment. They did not feel safe, okay? The students who are not engaged tend to be victims of crime, violence, and they're likely to experience loneliness, depression. They might have adjustment problems, difficulties, and they may drop out of school. So really, feeling safe and being engaged go hand in hand. This is some of the data in the US, okay? Just to get an idea about. and bullying, actually, sorry, I have to go back to this. 20% of youth report being bullied on school grounds in the past 12 months. And this was a research done by Truman and Snyder, 2010, okay? 6% of students skipped at least once in the past 30 days because of concerns of their own safety. So that safety also was an issue. We have two examples, one in New Jersey and one in Michigan, initiatives that schools have led. The Michigan one, the school provided a successful, appropriate foundation to educate all students, And the parents, the principal said, my staff is so committed to making this work. They have a connection with each other. They taught the students how to deal with conflict, how to resolve conflict among each other. So students were taught values and essential values on how to deal with each other and with others. And so that was the love and safety. They focused on love and safety and the whole child. And the other project also, there was a 2011 National School of Character by Whole Child Partner. And here, the school in New Jersey, they were committed to making sure students entering public school felt safe, engaged, and connected. And so they coordinated continuous support, and they tried to reduce substance abuse and bullying, develop positive learning environment. And the results were astonishing and very impressive. The students were able to achieve higher academic scores and feel welcomed and loved and safe. The goal: reduce substance abuse, bullying, develop positive learning environment, and as a result, improve student academic performance. So all of these actually contribute, as you can see, the academic performance, which is the content, the studies that they are doing at school. Students must feel engaged. And what does it mean? Okay? They must feel valued by adults and also by part of the school. Okay? Those who feel engaged, they perform better academically, they show more positive social attitudes, values, and behaviors, and they are less likely to engage in drug abuse or violence. Okay? What could schools do? What can the community do? After school programs can provide an extended learning environment. After they finish school, they go somewhere to continue. So in that after school programs has to promote academic achievements, and they have to have these elements. They should be targeted investment, have to have commitment, focused on academic support, and it should be a continual improvement. But they could provide that engaging environment for the students. What does the data tells us? It's kind of very sad. 66% of the students surveyed, they said surveyed reported that they were bored in every class or at least every day in school. And why are they bored? 98% of them claimed the material was not the main reason for boredom. They claimed subject material was uninteresting, and they found the material they lacked relevance. Okay, so when we teach content, math, science, language, we have to make it relevant to their needs. In 2009, only 75% of U.S. public school, high school recipients graduated on time. And if you look at the level of engagement in this graph, schools, the traditional schools, okay, this was research done by Lopez, 2010, as student age, the level of school engagement tend to decrease. You see elementary school is very high, and then middle school, by the time they get to middle school in that graph, they drop the level of school engagement. And then early high school drops more, and then late high school, it comes up, but it's kind of like a late, it's too late by then. So there's something has to happen in middle school, and that's where the students are actually in adolescent, where the community engagement, school engagement should be at a high level, because that's the time we could lose them. We have a couple of examples, one in Oregon and one in Rhode Island. And this is really, the report says it takes a village to raise a child, and that really is true. It does take a village. This is in Oregon. The student, staff, and family engagement they created. So everyone was involved, and they created a sense of belonging, a space to collaborate, a learning environment where every individual student needs were met. And it was a hands-on curriculum. They integrated the arts, health, and wellness. They incorporated civics, outdoor adventure learning. And as a result, students not only achieved high test scores, but they also learned how to advocate their own learning needs. So this is really like integrating the curriculum with the environment, with the community, and the family. The next school is the one in Rhode Island that won the Whole Child Award for developing engaging, meaningful learning opportunities for its K-5, kindergarten to 5th grade students, parents, and teachers. And the school used data benchmarking systems to regulate and monitor student achievements, and they provided differentiated learning. Again, all students, all children are not the same, so they targeted the needs of the students, and they provided a very engaging learning environment. And they had enrichment programs, after-school programs that included karate, drama, art, yoga, global celebration, basketball, scrapbooking, science, chorus, cartooning, cooking club. And it engaged students' interest and talent. And students who needed extra support, academic extra support, they provided additional check-in and check-out services to check how they could help them with their academic needs. So they provided enrichment program and as well as academic support, okay? And that is just a win-win situation. All right. This leads us to students must be supported, and they also must feel supported, okay? Supportive schools, the report says, helps preventing isolation, violent behaviors, dropping out of school, suicide. And the central to the supporting school are teachers, administrators, and other caring adults. And these other caring adults, I mean, we could include anyone from the community. It could be volunteer community, elderly, it could be parents, it could be grandparents, it could be extended family. Anyone who cares, an adult who cares for that child. What does the data tells us? Supporting learning environments that focus on student-teacher relationship and that have high expectations and meet the students' emotional and social needs result in students performing far better academically, and of course they will love school and will have significant low rates of negative consequences, okay? So just by having good relationship, student-teacher good relationship, focused relationship, high expectations, and then focusing on looking at taking care of that student's social and emotional needs will result to better academic performances and better positive consequences, reduce negative consequences. Here, when people were asked, this was the research done by Lopez, were asked to identify words, phrases, and if I asked you even, the audience, if I asked, what best described the teacher who had the most positive influence in your life, and you had to use an adjective. This was asked by people in the US were asked this question. And these are the words that came to their mind, the way they described it, the phrase, the word. Can you think of a word to describe a teacher who had the most positive influence in your life? And write it up. We're looking at it. People wrote caring. I want to know what you're going to write, but you could use these 5 words, but I would like you to add new ones. Caring, encouraging, interesting, personable, of high quality. Okay, these were the top 5 phrases, words that identify the best teacher. None of it contained a field of study, okay? Not a math teacher or physics teacher or English teacher. It's all about social and emotional needs. Do we have any word? One? Okay. Understandable. Very good. Okay. Good job. Yeah. Understandable. A teacher who understands you. Any more? No more? Okay. All right. Counselors, student to counselor ratio. The American School Counselor Association recommends 250 students to 1 counselor is the ideal ratio, okay? And we need counselors in all schools. This approach, this whole child approach really is proponent of counselors. And the ideal number is 250 to 1 counselor, even though it's a lot of students to be a counselor for. However, the actual ratio in the US is 471 students to 1 counselor in 2012. A study was done in 2012. The nationwide average in the US is 471 student to 1 counselor. That's just too many students for 1 person to look after their social and emotional. But we're not, I think this whole child approach, they're not proponents of counselors to do all the work. I think all of us have the responsibility to do the work, but counselors are better equipped. They're more trained to handle maybe mental illnesses or see the signs of things that are, that can be helped, the students can receive help with. So 16% of students who have considered dropping out of school, they said no adults in the school cared about me, okay? While 9% stated adults in the school encouraged me to drop out. Imagine that. This is in the US, don't panic, it's not here. But this is actually sad that at least 9% of the adults encourage these students to drop out instead of helping them out and helping them become successful. Okay? So case in point, we have 2 examples. One in Texas, and they won awards of the Whole Child Award. That through community partnership and collaboration, students learn by taking part of service learning, internship, social actions that allow them to understand the relevance of what they learned. Remember, the students said, what we are learning is not relevant. So in this school, the students really learned the relevance of what they were learning. They did internship, they did service learning, and most of all, students took ownership of their own learning by designing their own physical fitness goals and activities, beginning college coursework while in high school, that can earn them up to 60 college credits, designing their own senior capstone research projects that reflect a social issue that has personal meaning. It was just a win-win situation. Again, the school did it. The student felt supported, engaged, healthy, and they were cared for. Several US states actually now are spearheading in adopting learning standards in social and emotional learning goals, and making social and emotional learning goals as part of the curriculum. So, and that's really a positive thing to help students develop awareness of their own emotions and better manage them. So that's also a good thing that's happening, okay? Social emotional learning helps children, and these are the key in point, develop awareness of their emotions and better manage them, set and achieve personal and academic goals, use social awareness and interpersonal skills to maintain positive relationships, demonstrate decision-making and responsible behaviors for success in school and in life. Okay. Now we're moving to student must be challenged. Students need higher level of thinking, they need communication, remember, problem-solving skills, knowledge of the world and its people. High school graduates who pursue college, they must be adequately prepared for college, but that's not happening. Many of them are taking remedial courses after they get to the college. Okay. What does the data tells us? 29% of all students at public four-year college and universities have enrolled in a remedial class. Remedial is like a helping course before they actually take the university level course. Okay. In 2008 survey, 4 out of 5 remedial students had high school grade point average 3.0 or higher. So they had higher GPA, but they were not doing well in college. They were actually enrolled in remedial courses. So there's some disconnect. And 50% of high school students indicate that they are not challenged in most of their classes. 80% of Americans believe that high school graduates should be college or career ready. Yeah, we all should believe that. 23% of high school graduates who take the Armed Forces qualification test to join the military fail to achieve a qualifying score, and that's pretty bad. Okay. Examples, good examples. It's one in Seattle, Washington, and there are two, one in New York and one in Seattle, Washington. The one in Seattle, the school district turned one of the biggest challenges into one of its greatest assets. It was a school reflecting many languages spoken by students in its community, so they focused on language and culture to prepare students for success. And their learning a second language and gaining global perspective was the school's hallmarks, okay? And staff focused on developing academic excellence in reading with the students to develop reading, writing, math, and core subjects. Okay, the one in New York was preparing underserved middle and high school students for higher education, and they created middle and high school students. They spend 1 hour a day, 4 days a week, participating in classes such as piano, violin, dance, drama. And middle school students were introduced to high school level content in 8th grade, and during the 11th and 12th grade students, they could take college level courses. So really it's like offering students more challenging courses and more challenging content to get them be interested and enjoy the environment of the learning environment. So these were good examples. So let's go back to the Whole Child Initiative. It's really the goals for this initiative is to increase awareness and understanding among educators, families, and policymakers, and local community members about the whole child approach to learning. Promotes engagement between and among its members and partners and whole child supporters, and advocates actions at local, state, and national level that it advances a whole child approach to learning. Okay. This is the last slide. Some policy recommendations that the organization has. establishing a statewide commission to ensure policies and practices that support the whole child, aligning and the services, resources, and data across programs to better serve students and children. And then sharing some of the data so people, school providers and parents are more in tune on what is working and what is not. Because remember, we wanted to know, how does a successful child looks like, what behaviors do they have, and how do we measure success. So this data will help local providers, knowledge and information to work on improving the learning environment. Okay, thank you very much. Now we will take questions. Okay, how can I make sure that my child's school's environment is safe emotionally and physically? Well, this information, I think this is a two-way information. As a parent, you should have access to your child's learning environment, the school environment. You should be able to go there. You should be able to have communication from the school providers, the principal, the teachers. As a parent, you should be involved in your child's learning environment and his school or her school. So the way you would know it is by having a communication line between you and your child. So your child is able to tell you when they don't feel safe. And remember what we looked at about safety, and you mentioned physically, emotionally and physically. It's a really just being in tune of what's going on and always being there, having access to the school, being able to drop in, asking questions, having a line of communication with teachers and the other parents and the school principal and at school administrators. It's that two-way conversation that you will always know if something is not going well. So as a parent, I would recommend that. The next question is, don't you think students should study nutrition at school? Yes, so that when they change the food at the cafeteria, they understand more about it. Yes, definitely, yes. I think one of the examples I shared, the students were proactive. They were taught how to assess healthy food and healthy lifestyle. Yes, schools should teach the students. If the students are taking physical education, or it's not just running around the gym, they should also learn about diet and food and how much sugar a soda, a Coke has versus a glass of water, why water is better than soda. So yes, definitely, I think the ideal way is the school, even in chemistry classes, could be taught healthy nutrition values and food. So yes, I do agree. Maybe when they're in the lower elementary school, they're too young, but maybe by the time they reach middle school, definitely nutrition, it doesn't have to be a full subject. It could be a strand within chemistry, within physical education class could be taught. Okay, next question. If my child gets bored at class and he doesn't engage with the teacher, what should I do? You need to find out why are they getting bored, okay? Boredom is not bad, but you want to know if your child tells you, I am bored in class, you need to know, you need to investigate. It doesn't have to be the teacher's fault, and it doesn't have to be your child's fault. Remember when we looked at the data, actually the students who said they felt bored, they said the materials were boring. So maybe the materials are not engaging. Maybe they're not connecting to his or her multiple intelligence. So you need to investigate and without blame and find out, like ask, okay, if it's a boring, can you tell me when something that your teacher does in class, or something you read in class that made you excited. And then you could compare what is difference. What is the difference? Is it something more hands-on? Your child maybe is kinesthetic versus analytical visual learner. So you wanna help your child examine their own learning styles without any blame to the child or the teacher or the materials, and find out what really tickles your child's interest and what do they get interested in. Another question, how can we prepare students to college more rather than taking remedial classes? Very good question. I think schools that do more integrated learning, more exposure, more challenging curriculum. As a parent, I think you could provide that enrichment at home. During summers, maybe you could provide more academic enrichment programs, more like let them get involved in summer camps or let them do some courses that are pre-university courses. I think exposure, students need to be challenged. Students they don't need to memorize things. And now universities are looking for thinkers. They're looking for problem solvers. They're looking for creative learners. So the way you will prepare your child, don't even worry about the remedial courses. If it happens, it happens. But you want to enrich their lives. And as a parent, that's like, take it as your duty. And then you will see that their academic performance would go higher and they will not need remedial courses as a result. So instead of focusing, I don't want you to take remedial courses in college, I think put your focus on, let's do things. Let's do things that are problem solving. Let's do Legos. Let's enroll in competitions in the local library. Let's do activities that the community is offering that is free. So let your child be exposed to a different way of thinking and learning. And then they will be excited about, they will explore, they will read more, they will investigate. And as a result, they will be academically successful. We have other questions? Okay, thank you very much.